So, have you heard about this thing called a sleep divorce? It's this idea that's been popping up all over the place, where couples, even really happy ones, are deciding to sleep in separate beds or even separate rooms. Now, I know it sounds a little extreme, but it points to this kind of silent struggle that's happening in bedrooms everywhere. And it has way less to do with love than you might think, and a whole lot more to do with biology. Okay, let's get right into this. Sharing a bed, it's a huge symbol in our culture, right? But this quote really hits the nail on the head. Maybe we've put way too much pressure on the symbol and we've forgotten about the science. Because let's be real, when one person's snoring or tossing and turning or just on a totally different schedule consistently messes with the other person's sleep, the question isn't about commitment anymore. It's about survival. So is this whole sleep divorce thing just a fad, or is it pointing to something way deeper, a real mismatch between our bodies and the way we live today? And that leads us straight into our first section, the bedroom divide. We're going to explore what happens when the fight for a good night's sleep actually becomes a fight in our relationships. Yeah, and this isn't just about being a little cranky in the morning. Not at all. We are talking about chronic, low-grade exhaustion that actually changes the way we interact with the people we love most. It's this powerful, corrosive force that a lot of couples don't even realize is the real root of their issues. Now, what's really fascinating here is just how specific the damage is. Studies show that sleep-deprived couples don't just bicker more. Their bodies are physically more stressed out. They have higher levels of the stress hormone cortisol running through their veins. And that, of course, leads to more irritability, communication just breaks down, and resentment starts to build up. It becomes this vicious cycle, right? You sleep poorly, so you fight with your partner, which makes you more stressed, which, you guessed it, makes it even harder to sleep. So, what's the biological machine that's driving all of this? Well, to get that, we need to take a look at your body's internal clock. And trust me, it is way more ancient and way more powerful than any alarm you've got on your nightstand. And here it is, the circadian rhythm. The best way to think of it is as the master conductor for your body's entire orchestra. And it's not just about sleep. It organizes thousands of different functions. Everything from when your hormones are released to how you metabolize food, all of it timed to sync up with the sun rising and setting. It's a deeply embedded evolutionary masterpiece, really. And this is so cool. This shows you the actual engine of that clock. Down at the molecular level, it's this incredibly elegant feedback loop. You've got these two activator proteins. They're called clock and BMAL1, and their job is to turn things on. As they do their job, these other repressor proteins start to build up until they hit a tipping point, and then they turn the activators off. And then the whole cycle just starts all over again, every 24 hours in nearly every single cell in your body. It's a beautiful, precise system. But what happens when our modern lives basically smash a hammer into those delicate gears? That's what we're going to look at next. What happens when that rhythm breaks? To figure this out, scientists designed this really clever experiment using rats. They took one group, the control group, and just kept them on a normal 12 hours of light, 12 hours of dark schedule. But the other three groups, they were thrown into a state of what you could call circadian chaos. One group was in constant darkness, another in constant light, and the last one had its day-night cycle completely flipped upside down. And the results? Well, they were stunningly clear. After only 4 weeks, the rats in all 3 of the disrupted light groups showed significantly worse erectile function compared to the normal group. So here's the key takeaway. It didn't matter how the clock was broken. Too much light, no light, a flipped schedule. Any major disruption to that basic rhythm had a direct, measurable negative impact. So how? How does this actually happen? Well, this breaks it down. In a healthy body that's in sync, the right signals lead to the production of a molecule called nitric oxide. This thing is crucial. It's what tells smooth muscle cells to relax, which allows blood flow to increase. But when the circadian rhythm is all messed up, the body's ability to even make that critical nitric oxide is damaged. The signal gets lost, and the whole physical process just can't work the way it's supposed to. But look, this isn't just about lab rats and blood flow. The implications here are so much bigger. They tie our body clock directly into our brain's most fundamental systems of motivation and reward. This is where rhythm and routine really connect. And here is the undeniable link to humans. Obstructive sleep apnea, it's a condition that's all about disrupted sleep, a chronic, nightly smashing of your body's rhythm. And a 2022 study found that almost 65% of people with OSA also experience erectile dysfunction. This isn't a coincidence, folks. This is the rat study playing out in millions of bedrooms. But even that is only part of the story. The problem goes deeper than just the physical mechanics. Because the very same internal clock that regulates blood flow also regulates the main chemical in your brain responsible for motivation, pleasure, and desire. I'm talking about dopamine. See, your dopamine levels have their own circadian rhythm. They're supposed to rise during the day, your active phase, to get you motivated to go out and seek rewards, food, connection, intimacy. And then they're supposed to fall during your rest phase. So when that rhythm gets all messed up, it's not just your sleep that suffers, it's your motivation for pretty much everything that makes life feel good. This helps explain why a broken body clock can affect everything from food cravings to how much you scroll on your phone. And this right here is the fundamental problem. That blue light from our phones late at night, our weird work schedules, our inconsistent sleep patterns, they are all sending scrambled signals to a biological system that evolved over millions of years to expect one simple thing: light during the day, darkness at night. We're essentially living in a state of self-imposed constant jet lag. So what on earth can we do about it? Well, the good news is we are not powerless here. We can actually make conscious choices to live more in sync with our own biology. And the solutions are, in theory, pretty simple. First, treating underlying issues like sleep apnea is absolutely critical. But for everybody, the single most powerful tool we have is consistency. Just going to bed and waking up at roughly the same time, yeah, even on weekends, dimming the lights, putting the screens away an hour or two before bed. These actions aren't just good sleep hygiene. They are direct signals you're sending to reset and reinforce your body's master clock.
Ultimately, it all comes down to this. Every choice you make, when you eat, when you work out, when you scroll on your phone, when you finally turn out the lights, it's a message. You are constantly in a conversation with this ancient, powerful clock inside of you. So the real question is, are you sending it signals of consistency and rhythm, or are you sending it signals of chaos?